All right, today's lesson is 1.02 parallel lines and transversals. Please make sure you have your math notebook to take some notes, your pencil, your calculator. It is so important that you always take notes and work out the practice problems during these sessions. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So our essential question, what are the relationships of the angles within a set of parallel lines cut by a transversal? Today, I'm going to solve problems involving angle relationships formed by parallel lines cut by a transversal, so that I can determine the measurement of missing angles. I will know I got it if I can analyze the diagram to determine the missing angle measurements. Things that you should know already, this diagram shows some vertical angles that are congruent. It says angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. And cross from each other. Those are called vertical angles. Angle 2 is congruent to angle 4, again across from each other. And then types of angles. Acute angles less than 90. A right angle is 90. Obtuse more than 90. And then a straight angle is 180. We won't worry about those. So vocabulary, make sure you write this down in your math notebook or take a screenshot or picture. A transversal is any line that intersects two other lines in the same plane, and those two other lines are parallel. When a transversal intersects two lines, 8 angles are formed. And here they're labeled. Okay, let me see the 8 angles. Let's look at the angle pairs formed by a transversal. First, there's corresponding angles. Lie on the same side of the transversal and on the same side of lines A and B. Here's our example, angle 1 and 5. Here's angle 1, 5. They are congruent, they're the same size. You can see it's on the same side as T. They're both above these lines. Next one, alternate interior angles are non-adjacent, which means they don't touch, that lie on opposite sides of the transversal, T, and between lines A and B. Here's our example, angle 3 and 6. All right, so they're in the inside, the interior of this diagram. They are congruent. So they're alternate, they're on different sides of this transversal, 3 and 6. Then alternate exterior lie on the opposite sides of the transversal T outside lines A and B. Our examples are 1 and 8. So here's 1, here's 8. All right, they are congruent, and they are on the outside. The same side, interior, lie on the same side of the transversal T between lines A and B, 3 and 5. Now, hopefully you can tell they are not the same size, but they do add up to 180 degrees. That's another important part of these angles, like 3 and 4 will add up to 180, 1 and 2. Then you also have these vertical angles, like 2 and 3, 1 and 4. So lots of different angle types. So let's do some practice. So here's our diagram, a little bit different, but same angles are labeled the same. We know that 1 and 5 are corresponding. Now we're going to name the other corresponding pairs of angles. So 1 and 5, and then 2 and 6 would also be corresponding. This one's actually matched, the colors match for us. All right, then we have 3 and 7. And then 4 and 8 are the additional corresponding angles. Now let's name the alternate exteriors. So not color coordinated here. Now we know, so here's alternate exterior. We know 1 and 8 would be one example. Here's 1, here's 8. So they have to be on the outside. So there's only one other pair, and that's going to be 2, I'll do this in green, 2 and 7. So 2 pairs for the alternate exterior. Alternate interior, we have our example 3 and 6. So there's only one other pair, and that's going to be 4 and 5, because they have to be on the inside of the diagram and opposite sides of that transversal. And remember, they are congruent. All right, so practice time, here we go. So it says that line T is parallel to line L is parallel to line M. Line T is the transversal. If angle 1 is 60 degrees, what are the measures of all the other angles? So, things you should know. All right, these are vertical angles. So 8 is the same size. I'm going to kind of change the color a little bit. Then this is supplementary, a straight line here. So they're going to add up to 180. So angle 4 should be 120. Then angle 3 is vertical with 4, so that's 120. Then you can look at the alternate interior. So if you look at 3, remember they're going to be on opposite sides of T. So 3 and 7 are alternate interior. And then the 8 and 2 are alternate interior. So this one's 60. Then you could just use vertical angles again. 5 would be 60, and then 6 would be 120. One more practice problem. So we have in this figure, A is parallel to E right here. M is parallel to N. The measure of angle 1 is 108. And it asks, what is the measure of angle 3? So if this is 108, then 2 is also 108. But you should be able to tell, we don't have to figure out all of them. So remember, if you got these two parallel lines, you can use this as a transversal. So this is alternate exterior. Okay, and you could go ahead and complete all of these. This would be, since this angle, they have to add up to 180. This would be 72. This would be 72. And then you could do corresponding angles and the alternate interior angles. And this is 108, which makes this 108. But that's also because of the, remember, again, I'm going to say it one more time. These are parallel. M is parallel to N. So this A would be a transversal for those two lines, and it's alternate exterior. Alternate, I'm not going to just kind of abbreviate there. And so they are congruent. Please make sure you complete your OMS lessons, taking notes, working at the problems. Thank you.